Hey everyone. Breaking news that could put thousands of dollars in your pocket, especially if you or someone you know worked before 1990. The government just announced a massive $1,900 stimulus payment, and you won't believe how easy it is to qualify. But here's the catch: you need to act fast because the deadline is approaching quickly. Before we jump into all the details, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss updates that could put extra money in your pocket. Now, you might be wondering, why $1,900? Well, this amount wasn't chosen randomly. The figure was carefully calculated based on average wage earnings from the target period and adjusted for inflation. But here's something crucial you need to know: this payment isn't automatic. Even if you qualify, you need to take specific steps to claim your stimulus payment. And this is exactly why I'm making this video today, to make sure you don't miss out on money that's rightfully yours. So, who exactly qualifies for this payment? The primary qualification is having worked and paid into Social Security for at least 5 years before 1990. But there are some additional factors that could affect your eligibility. For instance, did you know that even if you only worked part-time during those years, you might still qualify? Or that certain types of government or military service during that period could make you eligible even if you weren't in the traditional workforce? These are the kinds of details that many people overlook, potentially leaving money on the table. Here's another important aspect that many people don't realize: this stimulus payment won't affect your current Social Security benefits. That's right, this is completely separate from your regular Social Security payments. It won't reduce your monthly benefits, and it won't count as taxable income in the same way that your regular Social Security benefits might. This is crucial information that could save you from unnecessary worry about how this payment might impact your current financial situation. But let me be clear about something: time is of the essence. The government has set specific deadlines for claiming these payments, and once these deadlines pass, there's no guarantee that you'll be able to access these funds. This is why it's absolutely critical that you check your mail carefully and respond promptly to any correspondence from the Social Security Administration. Have you been throwing away official-looking mail without opening it? You might want to think twice about that habit, especially right now. Let's talk about the application process, because this is where many people get confused or overwhelmed. The good news is that the government has tried to make this process as straightforward as possible. Most eligible seniors will receive a notification letter in the mail with specific instructions. This letter will include a unique identification number that you'll need for the verification process. But what if you haven't received a letter and think you might be eligible? Don't worry, I'll explain exactly what steps you need to take in just a moment. One question I've been getting a lot is whether this payment will be received as a check or direct deposit. The answer is that you have options. If the Social Security Administration already has your direct deposit information from your regular benefits, they can use that same information for this stimulus payment. However, you can also opt to receive a physical check if that's your preference. Just remember that direct deposit is typically faster and more secure than waiting for a check in the mail. Now, let's address something that's causing some confusion: this stimulus payment is different from other COVID-related relief payments you might have received in the past. This is a new, separate program specifically designed for seniors who contributed to the workforce before 1990. Don't make the mistake of thinking you're not eligible just because you received previous stimulus payments. The qualification criteria are completely different for this program. Here's a crucial point that many people miss: if you're the spouse of someone who worked before 1990 but has since passed away, you might still be eligible for this payment. The government has included provisions for surviving spouses, recognizing that many families relied on single-income households during those years. This could be particularly important for widows or widowers who might not have worked extensively themselves during that period but were married to someone who did. Let's talk about the verification process, because this is where some people run into challenges. The Social Security Administration will need to verify your work history from before 1990. This might seem daunting, especially if you've changed jobs multiple times or if some of the companies you worked for no longer exist. But don't let this discourage you. There are multiple ways to verify your employment history, including old tax returns, W-2 forms, or even pay stubs if you've kept them. The Social Security Administration also maintains detailed records that can help establish your work history. One of the most common questions I'm getting is about the timeline. Once you've submitted your information and verified your eligibility, how long does it take to receive the payment? While processing times can vary, most eligible seniors are receiving their payments within 4-6 weeks of verification. However, this timeline could be longer if there's a high volume of applications or if additional verification is needed. This is why it's so important to act quickly when you receive your notification letter or if you believe you're eligible. Here's something interesting that not many people know: this stimulus payment can actually be used as a basis for additional benefits or assistance programs. Some state and local programs look at federal benefit receipts when determining eligibility for other forms of assistance. This means that receiving this stimulus payment could potentially open doors to other financial support opportunities. Have you considered how this payment might interact with other benefits you're currently receiving or might be eligible for? Let's address a concern that many people have expressed: what if you made mistakes on your application or need to update your information? The good news is that there's a process for correcting errors or updating information after submission. The key is to act quickly if you notice any mistakes. The Social Security Administration has set up specific procedures for handling corrections, but these need to be initiated as soon as possible to avoid delays in receiving your payment. Now, here's something really important that I want everyone to understand: this stimulus payment is tax-free at the federal level. However, you should still consult with a tax professional about how it might affect your overall financial picture. While the payment itself isn't taxable, it could impact other aspects of your financial planning or tax situation. Isn't it worth taking a few minutes to understand how this money could best benefit you? For those of you wondering about the documentation you need to keep, it's important to maintain copies of all correspondence related to this stimulus payment. This includes the initial notification letter, any application materials you submit, and confirmation of receipt of the payment. These records could be important for future reference or if any questions arise about the payment. Have you set up a system for organizing these important documents? I want to emphasize something that might not be obvious: this stimulus payment can be particularly significant for seniors living on fixed incomes. With the rising costs of everything from groceries to healthcare, an extra $1,900 could make a real difference in your quality of life. Think about what you could do with this money: maybe catch up on some bills, make some needed home repairs, or even start a small emergency fund. Here's a vital piece of information that you need to know: there are unfortunately some scammers trying to take advantage of this situation. The Social Security Administration will never call you asking for personal information or payment to process your stimulus. If anyone contacts you claiming to be from the government and asks for payment or sensitive personal information, that's a red flag. Have you encountered any suspicious calls or emails related to this stimulus payment? Let's talk about what happens if your application is initially denied. Don't panic, there's an appeals process in place. Many initial denials are due to simple errors or missing information that can be easily corrected. The key is to understand why your application was denied and what specific information or documentation is needed to support your appeal. This is another reason why keeping good records is so important. As we wrap up this video, I want to remind you of the most important points. Check your mail carefully, respond promptly to any notification from the Social Security Administration, and don't hesitate to seek clarification if you're unsure about any part of the process. Remember, this is money that you earned through your years of hard work, and you deserve to receive it if you qualify.